And that is the thing, but get things done that way. Both at home, at work, and in the community. And we got stacked and so all you know. Yeah, by all means, please.
Good to see you. Down there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be.
Gone.
Did you
Ray
get my
Hoskell.
email?
Hi, Chris. What was your first name?
Ray.
Ray.
I sent it to my iPhone. And I haven't gotten to check it out. I'm really enjoying working with
Right. Yeah, that works.
Well, we got stuff.
Right?
We got stuff going.
Little Victor.
Here. How are you, man? Yeah. So what? Take yours. Where you going?
no, he's a CHP.
Oh.
Excuse me.
He's a
We're
chicken.
flying up there this weekend to go. They make a TV program. Jared.
Yeah, they do. You know, if this guy was the box, I might take him on. You know?
But then you could say, oh, well, okay, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try, when you open it up, I'm gonna try
Welcome to the regular meeting of the Villa Park City Council, and I hereby call the meeting to order. Jared, would you take the roll, please?
Sorry about that. Councilman Barnett.
Present.
Councilman Colcott.
Here.
Councilman Nelson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mills.
Here.
Mayor Fasenelli.
Present.
I was asleep, didn't you? You thought you were gonna get me by calling me first, huh?
Absolutely.
At this time, I'd like to ask Vincent Sanchez to come to the podium. He's a representative from Mimi Walters' office. If you would lead us in the pledge.
Of course. Place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, if you could check your cell phones and put them on silent or put them on a beeper, that would be wonderful. We have some speaker cards in the back. They're blue. If there's any item on the agenda that you'd like to speak on, if you kindly put your name on there and the item you'd want to speak on, it does help up here, and I take the cards first also. At this time, I have a couple announcements. We're just going to change a little bit of an order here just so everyone knows what we're doing. We're going to move the Law Enforcement Advisory Committee just after the Sheriff's Department. And there's an item that we are taking off the agenda, and that would be item number 16, which is the Community Service Foundation becoming independent of the city. That was asked to be taken off calendar. So if there's anyone here who would like to comment on that, you can comment when we have public comment here at the beginning, but that agenda item has been taken off the calendar. So at this time, we would like very much to talk about our city treasurer, and that would be Mr. Dennis Kulai. Dennis, would you step up here? Dennis has been a faithful city treasurer,
Changing things around.
a resident for many, many years. He has been on our investment advisory committee as our treasurer. He has helped with all of the schools here, with all of our picnics, with our foundation. He has stepped up in every area of this city that I can think of. He has been our treasurer now 15 years, and it's a thankless job. Everyone knows here that we don't get paid. We don't even get a good lunch every once in a while. He also
You used to get a good lunch when they gave a Christmas lunch, but they quit doing that, and I don't get it anymore.
We might have to change that. He also is one of Santa's helpers, and we won't say which role he plays, but he is one of Santa's helpers and has been for years.
Ho, ho, ho.
And I have a lovely picture of Dennis coming in front of my house with my daughter, who was 3 years old, and he doesn't remember it, but they came off that Santa truck. We had the city council, and my daughter unveiled this roll that was a list of what she wanted for Christmas that was 15 feet long. And I have a picture of him sitting there while she unveiled the roll. And it's a pleasure. And I'd like to have the council here speak about Dennis. If you have anything here that you'd like to say, that would be wonderful. And we're going to honor him with a proclamation from the city, as well as Mimi Walters' office is honoring you with a proclamation also. Anyone have anything to say?
Yeah, I would like to, so a lot of things about, I met Dennis through Jill, and I met Dennis through Rotary Club, and I tell you what, as much as Jill is a superb Rotarian, she is backed up by Dennis 110% on every activity, including the foundation, any of the school activities, as Deanna has just mentioned, and Dennis, we can't say enough about you and give you enough thanks.
I know what to do to be good for me. That's do what she wants.
That's a good path to follow, too.
Yes.
That is wonderful. Well,
I want to say that I worked with Dennis on the Villa Park Investment Advisory Committee, as well as on the foundation. And on the foundation, I got him when I was treasurer to audit the books for me, to audit every transaction I did. And really, he's a tough taskmaster. So you can feel well assured that the foundation book's in great shape. So thank you, Dennis, for that.
MJ thanks you for handing me over to her. She gets in gray hair every month, I think.
Well, we're going to come, if the council can join me down here?
Yes, please.
You want me to go here or?
Yeah. Jared, you got the camera? In recognition of your 15th anniversary as our Village Park City Treasurer, and we have here from the House of Representatives, Minnie Walters, which is a member of Congress of the 45th District. Certificate of Special Congressional Recognition presented to Dennis Cooley in recognition of your 15 years of service to the City of Villa Park as the city's treasurer. Your outstanding commitment and an invaluable service is greatly appreciated by the community.
Thank you. Thank you. And I have to shake one more.
Yay!
I want everybody to know who the real financial brains is. Right here.
And Dennis, we have something special for you. We heard that you are a collector of kaleidoscopes. And we wanted to contribute to that, and we have provided you with these beautiful kaleidoscopes. Does it look younger?
Fortunately, I cannot see you through this one. The technical name for one where I can see you is a kaleidoscope. I have some at my house. If you want to see what you look like, that would be fun.
Well, we'd like to take a picture of you. Want to do that? I can take a photo. Put that back in the box. All right. There you go.
Be right here. Is this good or?
That's good. Can you get us all? Or do you need to
Yeah,
sign
no,
this
I
out?
have all of you. Okay. One. Yeah, I'll let her.
Good.
You gotta take one more picture. I'm gonna go over behind Michelle.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna let you guys forget. Your brains is the whole operation here.
Very nice.
Wait.
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
By the way, just so that crack doesn't come off as negative,
Thank you.
Dennis plays Santa annually at the,
He's a helper. There was a reason I didn't say that.
I called him Santa, and I thought somebody might take that wrong and think I was saying it.
Yeah, this guy plays the Grinch.
That's what
I tried. They watch. Well,
Sure they want.
yeah,
kid's gonna watch this.
I know, that's true. All right, well, next,
I don't even watch.
we'd like to
For bedtime,
welcome,
you know.
like to welcome Dr. Langstaff, and he is going to give us a presentation on the Villa Park High School endowment.
Thank you very much, Diane. The previous gentleman has it right. The most important two words in a marriage is yes, dear. So I just thought I'd say that. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank Councilman Kellicott and Councilman Bill Nelson for their support in this effort. The initial meeting of the Villa Park High School campus endowment was on July 6th at this location. Many of the members of the committee showed up, including district members, Mr. Christensen's representatives, coaches, teachers, students, parents. The intention was to get the entire community together for a real problem. Villa Park High School is deteriorating. And the reason for that is because there's 2,500 students this year enrolled there. It's built for 1,200 students. So it's got over twice the amount of students that it was built for. It's going to get beat up. And unfortunately, the district doesn't have the manpower or the facilities to keep it up. So recognizing this, we created this endowment to create projects that would help the district bring the school back up to the standards of which it should be for these students and teachers. By the way, the students and the teachers are extraordinary. They're good people. They're homegrown Villa Park people, Villa Park High School people, and I will tell you, I'm very proud to work with these folks. They're terrific. So in this endowment meeting, we came up with 3 projects, 3 types of committees: short-term, middle-term, and long-term. So far, 2 committees have been meeting and have been working on projects, which are the following. The flooring in the PAC. If you don't know what the PAC is, that's the most used room in the entire campus. And this is before, and you'll notice
That's the Performing Arts Center.
it's a performing arts center in the thing. You'll notice the cracks and creases and the black and pretty much ugly. You can go to the next one. Again, pretty ugly. And this is after 6 years of this surface has been placed. So we figured that this would be a good place to start as far as fixing up the high school. Go to the next one. We put in a new flooring. Next one. The students are using it as we speak. And this flooring, I have it in my garage, and it's still good after 3 years. Like, it has not changed. So this is really good, strong stuff that'll take the abuse of these students. Next one. Okay, so that's in the PAC, and that's done. That was completed last Thursday, and we completed that effort. The next one, we decided that the doors that face Taft needed to be painted. Actually, all the doors need to be painted, but we figured if we do the doors facing Taft, it gives the ambiance that we're doing something. So all the doors, that was another task, have been painted. And by the way, that was truly a collaborative effort. It was done by the Music Booster Club. They sanded the doors down, prepared the doors, and the district then came in and painted the doors. So it was a collaborative that's the point. We need to work together with the district. Together we prevail, alone we fail. So that we did that. Let's see, what else did we do? Music lab. Go ahead to the next one. No, this is the new staff lounge, which is in the center of the campus, in the round. So the teachers actually have a place to hang out. They really didn't have one before. They did kind of, but they don't. They absolutely do now. So they're finishing it up, but it's going to be very, very nice. Next one. They actually have a refrigerator and a real place to hang out, which is very cool. Next one. This is very special. You can't see it very well, but this represents, what's it called, STEP?
The STEM? STEM.
STEM, right, STEM.
Technology.
Now, what is the STEM? I thought maybe they were doing cells or something, but no. Actually, it represents science, technology, mechanics, engineering and math. There you go, I got it. And I will tell you, I actually walked into this room, and tomorrow and the next day, they will be assembling all of these features. This represents, folks, the future. This is technology. Instead of having what's it called, shop before, this is modern shop. These stations represent our future, and the kids really have an opportunity to learn about future technology and future subjects. So this is a very, very important thing and this is going in right now as we speak. Next. The projects that we want to come up, well, let me just say 2 more things that's happened. At the PAC, there's a mural that a couple of students painted. You need to go there to see it. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I believe Andy has taken some pictures and is going to do a feature on it, but it's an amazing mural. These are the lockers. I spoke with the principal today, and this is going to be part of our new project. We're going to replace these lockers in the entire school. I'm going to take it bend by bend, step by step, but as we go forward, all of these lockers will be replaced. And some of the ones that are in better shape will reuse over at the music center. Let's see. Okay, the coup de grace of what we want to do, the real thing, is the track. We need to that needs to be modernized. The grass needs to be out. We need to do artificial turf here, and we need to do artificial track cork or whatever on the track itself. Modernize. It's time. And so we're in the process. That's the principal's most urgent wish is this. So we're going to focus on getting that done. The rest, the committees that we want to form will be for maintenance, to embellish the district's work. They're limited, so we want to create work for the students to do. Some have requirements that they need to do, so we'll put them to work with their requirements. We'll put the parents to work. We'll put the booster clubs to work. We'll put the parents that aren't affiliated with booster clubs to work. We need to work as a committee to keep the campus and the rooms clean. Because if you look at them now, if you look at them after a day, they're pretty much thrashed, and the teachers are tired. You can't expect them to do it. So we need to come up as a community to do that. One of the things we want to do is secure street sweepers. Why? Look at the new parking lot. Doesn't look great right now because it's got a lot of leaves and a lot of trash and this and that. It needs to be cleaned once a week. So I'm looking into that. The band, the music director suggested we have seating for the students next to the shell. That's another thing. So the contributors so far have been the band boosters, individuals, service clubs, but not a lot. And I think that's because of the frustration of the community, of the public, perceiving that the district is not a friendly, but the district is a friendly. The reality is the district has rules and regulations, and a lot of those rules and regulations aren't from them. It's from the state and from other laws and guidelines that they need to go by. So we have to understand we work with the district and their rules because they own the land. The bottom line is we can work with them because they're friendly. They do want to fix this place up. The plan also is to go to the city of Orange. Why? Because out of 2,500 students, there are 2,100 from Orange. So shouldn't we go back to the city of Orange and ask for their help? I think so. So that's the plan. That's my next focus, is to go to the city of Orange, the foundation, the parents, the service clubs there, and ask for financial support as well, especially for this. Lastly, on September 21st at the PAC, where you saw the flooring, we're going to have a celebration, 7 o'clock in the evening at the high school, and we'll celebrate the accomplishments we've done so far, and we'll share future projects and start putting real committees together to be able to fix the school up and keep it fixed for these kids, because they deserve it and so do the teachers. I'm done.
I have some comments there that, as we speak right now, there is a concert going on that floor right now for the new band.
Right.
School does start tomorrow, so you've got the high school band over there working on it. To give some credit where credit is due, the PFSO I know has worked with you, and they have provided money in mid-year, which was wonderful.
Flooring was done because of them.
Yeah, and it was wonderful. They were able to secure some financing to be able to do
Absolutely.
it from a local resident who offered to finance it from the Booster Club, and it's been, they have stepped up, and it has been very good.
And to me, that's the key. That's the example we want to continue with as we go forward. So we appreciate that.
Thank you. And I want to make a note here that, Dr. Langstaff, you're not a resident of Villa Park. You have been working in this city for 40-some years.
Right.
And
I've
I
been
appreciate
overlooking
that.
the high school for 40 years.
No.
I joined.
You watch the kids come over on the wall?
Well, you know what? I never paid attention to the high school until I joined the Villa Park Community Band, jazz band, with the major. And I started looking around. I said, wait. This is not Villa Park. This is Watts. This is some other place. We got to fix this place up. And I'm a
Well, we're
dentist.
not Watts. I mean, we're.
But my immediate reaction was, I'm a dentist, right? I want to fix things. Hello? So I want to fix that place. So I figured, maybe I can do something as an individual, as a community member, since I am going to become Rotary president and all of that. I figured I got to do something for the community. And since I'm a disinterested or interested third party, I don't have a child there. I don't have a vested interest in any of the one thing other than music, because I play, but that's my focus are the kids and the teachers. They're good people. And they're hardworking people. And they if you look at what Ed Howard has been doing in the last few years, it's amazing that they've accomplished as much as they have in that facility. And it's up to the community to fix it, to make it, to do what the district can't and is not able to. So that's what enticed me to get into this whole thing. And it's fun. I like working with good people.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
If you haven't been to the Performing Arts Center and taken a look at the floor, the photos do not do it justice. It's really beautiful, and it's an amazing transformation from what it was before. I did see the floor before they painted it, and it was absolutely dismal. Now it's a nice, bright, nice-looking room that you'd want to be in. So, good job.
Wonderful.
I think it's also notable and well noted that from what Bill was saying, all the cooperation amongst the various groups. I think that's the key item that I see about all this. It looking more like kind of like a charter school or how they organize those sorts of things. Everybody pitches in. So, thank you, Bill, for being the impetus.
Okay. Next, we're going to have an update from the Orange County Fire Authority.
Part of it. Talk to Bill.
600.
Ask Bill.
Mayor Fash.
Hi.
Mayor Fascinelli, council members, thank you for the time. Since the last council meeting in July 28th, I believe it was, Orange County Fire Authority has responded to 28 incidents in Villa Park, and of those 28 incidents, 20 were medical aids. There were no significant incidents to speak of, so that's good news, and our response times were well within the standards. Other things that are going on as far as the Orange County Fire Authority is concerned, we have really turned our focus to drowning prevention. This summer has been pretty bad as far as drowning is concerned. We've had 2 incidents, actually 3 incidents this past weekend. So the OCFA, along with Orange County sheriffs and a few other folks, have started a 25-member drowning prevention task force. The chair of that chair of that task force is going to be Councilmember Al Murray from the city of Tustin. So they're going to do some good work, and they're doing some canvassing of different neighborhoods, all to prevent drowning. So hopefully we can reduce the number of drownings. And just to remember, it's still warm outside. Number one, never swim alone, and number 2, if you have kids in the pool, make sure you have a water watcher. That's all they're doing is watching the pool to make sure that we don't have any more drownings. Another update is as you know, as probably heard in the news, there are significant fires going on in Northern California as well in the state of Washington. In fact, California has sent fire engines to help out in the state of Washington. We still have significant resources out. We had 5 fire engines. What we call a strike team of wildland firefighting engines that have been out going on 6 weeks. They were on their way home today from Northern California. They actually got diverted to another fire, so they'll be out a little bit longer than that. Nothing to worry about, though. We still have our dirt covered here in Orange County should anything happen. But anyway, that's just wanted to let you know that we've got a lot of folks out there helping in Northern California. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. If you
have a black stripe against your shield, and you had a death in the OCFA?
No, it's not in the OCFA. Unfortunately, these wildland fires, there was 3 firefighters. They were wildland firefighters that died in the state of Washington. They were trapped by fire, and that's the fifth one of this firestorm that's been going on in the last month. That's the fifth firefighter has died.
I have a question. It's kind of silly, but what's the definition of a drowning? I always figured a drowning when somebody went in and died underwater, but it's not. Do you know what the definition of a drowning is?
Yes, the definition of a drowning is when someone has been immersed in water and has a lack of oxygen. So we have fatal drownings and we have non-fatal drownings. So they used to be referred to as near drownings. We don't use that term anymore. Instead of near drownings, we call them non-fatal drownings.
Someone have to become unconscious underwater and then they drown?
It's just a matter of being a lack of oxygen, being immersed in the water. Yeah.
A lot of older people lately in the news, not just children.
Absolutely,
yeah, I mean,
yes.
That's kind of been surprising to me. I mean, you've had
Yeah.
40, 50, there wasn't even a 37-year-old who didn't know how to swim who
We had a
drowned.
60-year-old in a pool in the gym up in Yorba Linda.
Yes.
That was a fatal drowning. And then obviously you probably heard of the fisherman that died in Irvine Lake this past weekend.
Yes.
The 56-year-old woman in South County I saw too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, an update from Orange County Sheriff Department.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. For the July crime update, we had 6 Part 1 crimes for July. For the detail, we had 2 residential burglaries. The one on Aubrey we spoke of last month, but I'll just give a little more on that. Suspect entered through an open rear garage door while the victims were not home. When the victims entered the house, there was a confrontation between one of the victims and the suspect. The loss on that was a backpack, a wallet, and some cash and credit cards. And I spoke of it before, but I'll just reiterate: we did arrest someone in the neighborhood that we feel was part of this. We couldn't confirm it because the victims weren't able to do an infield show up. Brought them down to the police car, and they couldn't identify the person because he had a mask on. But we got his DNA, and from what I understand, they also recovered some DNA from the house. So. But unlike the crime dramas on TV, it takes a while to match DNA. So that could take a couple months. But we have all his stuff. So the second burglary, suspect entered through an unlocked rear sliding door, and also the loss on that one was cash and jewelry. There was one vehicle burglary. Suspect pried open a rear window of I think it was a Tahoe. Third row seat was the loss on this one. Now this is a very common element to steal out of mostly Suburbans. They're easy to get rid of, easy to sell. Third row seats are, and there's something about Suburbans where they can pry that back window open pretty easy, I guess. So very, very common. And then one incident of a grand theft. The victim was not certain if the vehicle was locked. He said it locks automatically, but there's no signs of entry into that car. Lost was a driver's license, laptop, had an earphones, and a laptop, which were all in plain sight in the back seat. And there was 2 incidents of petty theft. One was the suspect shoplifted beer. I think that was from Ralph's. And then second one where a suspect removed sunglasses and a checkbook from an unlocked vehicle. So that's our detail. Anybody have any questions for me?
I've got one. I hope you didn't already address it. If you did, I apologize. The couple that got tasered, you had a suspect in that. You had some.
That's the first one I spoke of.
Yes.
I said there was a confrontation. I didn't detail that the male victim was tasered on that one. Yeah, there was a person in the neighborhood that we stopped and detained who was from Los Angeles, didn't belong here, claimed he's out jogging in the hills. So everyone knows what's going on, but it's a matter of, being able to put him in the house. So that's where DNA is going to come in because
That
the
hasn't
victims
happened.
couldn't identify him positively. So, but pretty confident, that that's the person who was in the house. And we recovered a lot of property from the car that he had rented from LA.
Okay.
So we're trying to piece all that together.
Looks
But
like
yeah,
you probably haven't. Right.
it's just trying to positively identify through science.
I have a question regarding the Homeowners Watch program. Do you meet with them? Do they have an annual meeting? Do the residents meet with you quarterly, 6 months?
The Neighborhood Watch?
Yeah, Neighborhood Watch. Or is it just like once a year, whenever it
Just on request.
on request? Something occurred this week. I want to make sure that and I'll bring it to your attention, maybe you can use it in future training. I happened to be here in City Hall when somebody turned themselves in. This is a sheriff's substation, in case anybody doesn't know that. So if you need to turn yourself in, you can just walk up to the counter and turn yourself in for a variety of reasons. It could be, warrant because you didn't pay a parking ticket. Doesn't, it's nothing bad. But on the blotter, when you see something like that and it says arrest and it says suspicious, we got an email through the homeowners watch individuals that said there had been suspicious activity. We should keep these people out of the. Anyway, they embellished. How's that? Embellished. And I'm telling you that because if I hadn't been here, I wouldn't have known that person walked in, turned themselves in, sat down. Spencer came, picked them up, and they were gone in 10 minutes. And it was not an incident or anything like that. So I say that because I don't want people to panic that we have, people running around doing something. They're allowed to come and turn themselves in.
And the difficulty in the blog is we have one individual that takes information off of the actual, that has names and everything, and redacts it and makes it kind of a readable form. And sometimes I get complaints from all over about, hey, this is on there, it shouldn't have been on there. And it's just a matter of me checking it more closely, more often. But again, that's one of those things I can catch if I'm looking at, but I'm not always looking at it.
Sure.
In fact, the neighborhood watch is on it when it happens, before I am.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm looking for like some training next time. Maybe you have a meeting to tell our own neighborhood watch not to embellish on it, if you will.
And that's not just for here, that's everywhere. But I can make inroads on that pretty easy. So.
Wonderful.
Anything
Thank you.
else? Right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have an update from the Law Enforcement Advisory Committee.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, staff, and residents. Just a few updates from the last meeting in August. We had no public comment. We reviewed the crime stats that Lieutenant Gonzalo just went over. We reviewed speed bumps as far as a traffic mitigation matter, but as of last month, there's just not enough interest to proceed with that. We've tabled the issue, and unless if there's other interest that's expressed, we'll bring it back up. Next item, we had Pete Moriarty come to one of our meetings. We felt that the CERT program is extremely important. He's the head of it for Villa Park. After that meeting, he was invited by Lieutenant Gunzel and our city manager to attend the Orange County EOC, which was very informative. In case we do have
the EOC is
Emergency Operations Center up at Control 1. It is truly an amazing piece of equipment that in case of a natural disaster, we can bring the people that need to talk to control things, to get power restored, to bring disaster relief to our community, and Pete is an integral part of that. And as of not this past meeting, but the one before that, that had not happened. So that is something that I know he was particularly interested in doing, and we were able to facilitate that on his behalf. And I'd like to thank the lieutenant for making that happen. Our PSR program, I've spoke to council and the community about that before, a volunteer program where we're trying to get folks from Villa Park to assist the Sheriff's Department as volunteers and go through their PSR program. We have, as of just today, got 3 volunteers with very, very limited outreach. So that's a huge success in my book. Get folks that are willing to commit that kind of time to our community. We also discussed writing an article and placing PSAs in the Century to get that outreach even further out there. I know that Andy Mills is working with us on that. LPRs, license plate readers. It's kind of a somewhat hotly contested topic. We went around and talked about it. There were concerns discussed in the community about privacy, but also at the same time, we discussed the costs and the benefits involved in it. And at this point in time, we've deferred making any recommendation regarding LPRs pending further analysis and public input. The city manager in his studies has provided a preliminary estimate of $15,000 per license plate reader camera. based upon this estimate, the capital cost is projected to be in excess of $240,000, so quite an extensive expenditure. There's no estimate has been made for the actual implementation of that program. And this program, for those folks that may not be familiar, you would set up a camera either on a trailer or on
Mr. Wilson, do you know that we were provided with a presentation
Right,
6
right.
months ago from the
Just
people who did that?
the folks at home who I was
Okay, so
referring to.
we had a nice presentation from them.
Okay. Moving forward, the traffic complaints, we had 2 traffic complaints, one on Serrano and then one at Taft and Leatrice. Just got word today that the PSR program has achieved a milestone, a huge victory. Because of the public outreach that this committee has done, we were provided with an $8,500 donation to the charitable foundation, the Villa Park Foundation, which will then be forwarded on to the city to purchase a patrol car for our PSR program. So now we have a set of wheels for our volunteers to drive around the city, to do vacation checks and other essential tasks, to free up our sheriff's deputies so that they can go out there and patrol our streets without having to do at least that. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Our next item is public comment, and at this time, anyone may speak on an item that is not on the agenda. And we have some Lori Triber on Dotson. And Donna, you're going to speak for both? I don't see Lori. Okay.
Right.
Wonderful.
Lori's not able to be here tonight. We, as you know, have had a group of individuals working on the traffic issues along Serrano Avenue for quite some time, very diligently over the last year. And one of our biggest frustrations and complications was the misinformation that was being sent out that worked against us and was false. Lori wrote a letter to the Sentry regarding the public information that was going out in the Sentry. And I do not want to read the letter, but she wanted it shared, and I will paraphrase. That there had been some very biased reporting over the course of the 2014 election and subsequent council meetings. Many of the reports reflected personal opinions and were not truly fact-checked journalistic reporting. A specific reporter is married to a councilman, did not identify herself as such, and has reported on Villa Park repeatedly without identifying herself. In an effort to try to get the Sentry to come forward and do the right thing, we've asked for articles to be fact-checked. It's not difficult. City council meetings are available for anyone at the Sentry to review and do their editorial fact-checking. Lori wanted to just to share her comments. I don't want to repeat it verbatim, but we feel that it's very unfair that the reporter at the Sentry continues to report and not identify herself as married to someone on the city council, and that she should probably be reporting elsewhere because it's not correct to all of the councilmen there that that there's biased reporting going on in the Sentry. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak at public comment? All right. Moving on, we are going. I have my own one. Oh, I just figured you were going to go on. Come on, come back up. Sorry. Okay, now she's Donna Buxton.
Good evening. I'm Donna
Yes,
Buxton. Okay, last month the City Council voted to make permit parking restrictions permanent on Dodson Way, Mountain View, and Feather Hill. I'm sure you're all tired of hearing about it. First and foremost, I just want to thank you for, at long last, voting in the interests of Villa Park residents. It's been a very long and painstaking process on the part of the residents, and it's come after years and years of a dangerous traffic situation worsening on Serrano Avenue. We've begged City Council and the Orange Unified School District for years to address the problem, and our requests went unanswered. It was bad enough when the dangerous conditions existed on Serrano, but in recent years it became unbearable on our residential streets. If the city was not going to do anything about Serrano Avenue, the least we could do is protect our families and our properties by gaining some peace and requesting permit parking only on our streets. That was what you did for us last month. We're very grateful, and it has helped tremendously. At the same time, our group has tried to effect whatever change was possible on Serrano Avenue. In June, the area in front of Serrano Elementary was restriped in order to provide for turn lanes and through lanes. Hopefully this will provide some relief, although it is not going to solve all the problems. We'll see how it goes tomorrow when school opens, and I expect there's going to have to be some tweaking to that program, but I think it will provide a little bit of relief. Last month, Trustee Kathy Moffett announced that 38 additional parking spaces are being made available at the back of Serrano Avenue in order to accommodate more the need for more parking. We need to continue to push for more meaningful impact on the situation on Serrano Avenue. OUSD needs to provide substantial drop-off and pickup areas as well as parking on OUSD grounds. So while we as residents have gotten what we need as just a stopgap measure to improve our personal lives on our streets, we're still concerned about what's happening on Serrano, and we would like to be a part of continuing to improve that situation. In spite of the changes that have been made recently, what we have in place at present is horribly inadequate to address the need. So in closing, I urge you to continue to push for more improvements by OUSD in order to make Serrano Avenue safer for all who visit or live in the area. And thank you again for last month.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to public hearings. At this time, we need a motion to waive reading in full of all ordinance and resolutions on the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Yes, thank you, Council. Mayor Pro Tem Mills?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilman Barnett?
Yes.
Councilman Colacott?
Yes.
Mayor Fasenelli?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Right, the second item on the public hearing is consideration of variance number 0767 located at 9991 Briley Way. The applicants are Lisa and David Badurian. And do we have a staff report?
Yes, I will introduce Planning Manager Ray Pasqua.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. The item before you this evening for your consideration is a variance request to reduce the minimum side yard setback requirement for an existing residence. This property is located at the northwest corner of Briley Way and Taft Avenue in the E4 zone. And as provided in the staff report, a variance request was made back in 2005 to reduce the side yard setback from 14 feet to 7 feet. And the City Council approved it. However, the approval was not acted upon within a year's time, so it became null and void. So the property owner has requested this variance application again. Specifically, the variance request is to reduce the 14-foot side yard setback along the west property line of the property to 11 feet 2 inches for the detached second unit and 7 feet for the one-car garage that's attached to the second unit. So on the site plan, you can see that where the side yard setback deviation is taking place, and the justification for the relief is to compensate for a previous street dedication along Taft Avenue, the Taft Avenue street frontage that resulted in the property width being narrower and shallower, I should say, by approximately 7 feet, thereby limiting the property owner's ability to maximize the use of the property enjoyed by other properties that were not required to provide land area for street dedication. The floor plan shows 1,160 square feet for the second unit that consists of 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, kitchen, living room, and dining room with an attached 1-car garage. So the next 2 slides are of the building elevation, and the proposed architecture and exterior finishes will match the style of the existing residence so as to blend in and match up with the home. At the August 3rd CDC meeting, the CDC reviewed this request and supports a recommendation to approve this application. So based on an evaluation and analysis of the information presented and the CDC's recommendation for approval, city staff respectfully recommends that City Council approve variance 0767 subject to conditions of approval and to adopt resolution number 2015-3342. That concludes my staff report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time. The property owner and their team is here this evening as well to answer any questions. Thank you.
I'm going to open it up to public comment. I don't have any blue cards, but if there's anybody who'd like to speak on this item, they're welcome to at this time. I see none. I'll bring it back to council. Is there any discussion here, council?
Can I ask what is the correct address? Is it 9911 or 991? Because in
9911.
Okay, never mind. Just a little typo here.
Ray, what's the distance going to be from the roof, from the edge of the roof to the wall? In other words, what's the closest point? How close is this house really going to get to the wall?
I didn't look at the detail, but I believe the overhang of the second unit or the garage, I believe, is 3 feet.
Approximately 16 inches.
16 inches.
Okay,
so it would be for the 1-car garage, it would be 7 feet minus the 16.
Okay, so it's going to be 6 feet.
Yeah, but the setback is measured from the face of the building to the PL, the property line.
Is there any landscaping provision or anything for the?
Have you seen this home?
Yeah,
there's
it's beautiful.
I was going to ask if you go back to that picture. It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to be their mother-in-law.
Well.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to drive by this and I didn't do it, so I felt bad about it. Okay, it's already landscaped there.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of mature
Drought resistant.
landscaping along Taft Avenue.
So basically, I mean, the consideration is that it's so close to the street, to Taft Avenue, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and there's been encroachment on them actually, by the street. So, okay.
Well, I move to approve consideration of variance 0767 at 9911 Briley Way.
Second.
Yes, thank you, Council. Mayor Fasenelli.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mills.
Yes.
Councilman Barnett.
Yes.
Councilman Colacott.
Yes.
Councilman Nelson.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Enjoy. It's very nice. Very nice addition to the neighborhood.
You can do my yard.
Okay, we're on to agenda item number 3. Consideration of conditional use permit number 2015-04 at 9642 Santiago Boulevard. The applicant is Tropical Plaza Nursery.
Again, I will introduce Ray Pasqua.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. The item before you this evening for your consideration is a request for approval of a conditional use permit to allow the continued use of property for the purposes of operating a landscape nursery. The property is located at 9642 Santiago Boulevard in the E4 zone. And as provided in the staff report, Tropical Plaza Nursery has been operating at this location for over 17 years. This business was first granted a conditional use permit approval back in 1998 with an expiration date of 3 years to allow the city to review they used to ensure that the nursery was operating in compliance with the approved conditions of approval and any other requirements of the zone. Subsequently, the conditional use permit was granted an extension in 2001 for 6 years and again in 2007 for an additional 7 years. City staff and the owner communicated when the CUP expired earlier this year and explained that we would allow the business to continue to operate and would schedule a public hearing as soon as we could. The decision of city staff to allow the business to continue operating after the CUP expired was because the nursery continued to operate in compliance with the approved conditions of approval and that the city did not receive any complaints from the surrounding community. This extension request was presented to the CDC on August 3rd, and the CDC supported recommending approval of an extension and to remove the condition of approval that placed a specific time restriction on the conditional use permit, so long as there's a condition of approval that was included that gave full city council the ability to review the CUP should a complaint is received by city staff that was determined to be detrimental to the community. Based on the information provided, the recommendation by CDC, city staff recommends that city council approve conditional use permit 2015-04 subject to the conditions of approval and to adopt resolution 2015-3340. That concludes my staff report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Okay, well, let's open it up to public comment here. We do have someone who would like to speak, Dr. Brian Alters. Welcome.
Thank you. I have nothing to disclose except that they are a very good neighbor. I have not known any of the employees that have been there, and I've just met the owner this evening, approximately an hour ago. I've lived and owned the house directly across the street from them, and they are very good neighbors. So, unusual, I'm not here to complain. I'm here to praise a neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you have the new house right across the street on Meats, corner of Meats in San Diego?
Yes.
Very nice house.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If I could ask Mr. Fields to come up and talk about an award that you just received regarding this. It kind of ties into your company, and then we'll come back to public comment. Because Tropical Plaza was just awarded with a very nice award regarding their business in the city of Villa Park, and it'd be nice if you told us about it as we're looking to review your conditional use permit.
Most of us landscapers belong to an organization called CLCA. It's California Landscape Contractors Association. And each year you're allowed to enter any projects in various divisions or categories, I should say. And we've been pretty much specialized in drought-tolerant landscaping for probably 15 years now. And this last year, 2015, just a few months ago, we won it's called the Presidential Award, which is the best of shows. If you go to a car show and different categories you win, people win, but then there's always that best of show and the ultimate car. And we are really proud to say that the Covington residence, which is right here in Villa Park, it's on Serrano, I believe, right by Saravilla Junior High School.
It's beautiful.
And so we were awarded the Presidential Award for that, which we're really excited about. And then also for yesterday, we actually presented Irvine Ranch Water District 2 awards we received that they allowed us to design and build their demonstration garden. So if you ever go down to the Irvine Ranch Water District, which is on Sand Canyon Drive, we actually, they gave us the approval to design completely. They trust us. We've been working for them for about 20 years. And so we entice anybody, if you have time to go down there, we built these beautiful arbors and name plaques, and it's just a whole array of how to help homeowners landscape drought-tolerant ways. So we're really excited about that. We've been here since 1962, I believe, right there on San Diego and Meats, and proud to say 1969 graduate of Serrano Elementary, 1971 Saravilla, and 74 Villa Park. So we love the community. My wife and I, we live in Orange Park Acres, but we've I consider myself Villa Park residents. We've been here for forever, and we really appreciate an honor to serve the city's needs with the landscape maintenance that we provide on Wanda and Cotella and stuff. So, anyways, thank you.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll bring it back to council. Any comments?
I move we accept this.
Is there any concern about not having any follow-up date, 10-year date or anything? Does that present any concerns anybody can think of?
There's no concerns with the conditional use permit. If they violate any terms of the conditions of approval, we can bring it back at any time.
Yeah. Let's move this.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Okay. Second.
I could just read it in. Motion is to approve conditional use permit number 2015-04, subject to the conditions of approval contained in Resolution 2015-3340. Mayor Pro Tem Mills.
Yes.
Mayor Fasenelli.
Yes.
Councilman Barnett.
Yes.
Councilman Colacott.
Yes.
Councilman Nelson.
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right, item number 4, consideration of conditional use permit 2015-03 at 17672 and 17711 Meats Avenue. The applicant is Asumi Farm. I hope I pronounced that properly. And this is quite similar to what we just heard, and I assume, Ray, you're going to give us a brief update on this. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. This item before you for your consideration is an approval of a conditional use permit to continue the operation of a landscape nursery that is located at 17672 and 17711 Meats Avenue in the E4 zone. As provided in the report, Asumi Farms have been operating at this location for 14 years. This business was first granted a conditional use permit back in 2001 with an expiration date of 7 years to allow the city to go back and review it should there be any issues as far as the operations of the business. Then the conditional use permit was granted another extension in 2008 for an additional 7 years. The extension was presented to the CDC August 3rd, and the CDC supported the recommendation of approval for an extension. Again, to remove the condition of approval that placed a specific time restriction. And like the other nursery, we included a condition that should staff receive any complaints that were found to be detrimental to the community, we would bring it back to City Council. So with that, staff recommends approval of conditional use permit 2015-03, subject to the conditions of approval, and to adopt resolution 2015-3341. And that concludes my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to open up public comment. I don't have any blue cards. Is anyone here who'd like to speak on this? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment, bring it back to council for discussion or motion.
I have a question. Why aren't those two parcels considered separately? Just because it's a farm operation? Is that the... In other words, they're two separate addresses. And so we can combine those. I thought we usually did things separate addresses, but...
They're two separate APN and parcel numbers and addresses. I mean, it is combined essentially under this permit application, but we have to notice each address within a 300-foot radius.
But isn't it just one owner? And so wouldn't you just combine one owner's CUP?
Yeah, the CUP is for one business operation for what the permit is.
I'm just curious because we often go by the addresses, so I'm just curious. Okay. That's all my question.
Okay.
But if an owner had, owner had two contiguous parcels in his business, then he shouldn't have to do two CUPs for.
Well, we had to do that for the restaurant over here because it was two separate parcels. We had to do some changing of the deeds and everything.
Oh.
I was just curious because it's two separate parcels. Is all. Was it originally the same parcel and Meats split it? Okay. Right.
Another taking.
I'm taking, yes.
Okay. Well, I move to approve conditional use permit 2015-03 at 17672 and 17711 Meats Avenue.
Second.
Yes, thank you, Council. Mayor Fasenelli?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mills?
Yes.
Councilman Barnett?
Yes.
Councilman Colacott?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
The motion carries 5-0.
Okay. We move on to item number 5, ordinance of the City Council of the City of Villa Park adding section 23-629 of Article 23-6 of Chapter 23 of the Villa Park Municipal Code relating to expediting permitting procedures for small residential rooftop solar systems. This item is going to every city by
It is.
mandate from the governor.
So it is a state law. There have been complaints by the solar industry that cities have been putting too many requirements on their installations. So they do what all business groups do. They lobbied the state government, and they got this law passed, which is in essence an expedited permit processing. It does a couple things. It only applies to small residential rooftop displays, not ones you would see on the side of the hill or something next to the house, because they have different safety concerns. Even though small is pretty big, I mean, if you add up 10 kilowatt systems over, it could fill up a big size entire roof of a house. In connection with this, basically the city is also adopting a resolution which has a checklist of terms, and if the permit applicant meets those terms, then they're entitled to a permit with no CUP or any other city discretionary review. That is what is in front of you tonight, and I'm here to answer any questions.
The only question I have is when I saw in here, it says that the city now must accept applications for residential rooftop solar energy systems electronically.
That's a requirement of the state law that we do that as a means to speed the process up.
And do we have those means in this city?
Well, you know, we do. I mean, basically, we're going to say an email does that. A lot of cities, though, bigger cities, are buying these big monitors in which you can actually, they can send the plans and you can read them that way. So different cities are doing it different ways. We're taking the approach that, you know, email has electronic in its name, so we're going to say that's okay.
But you can still send a file. It's a matter of getting it to a file server and
Right.
what kind of screen you can view it on and what detail.
Right.
That's not a big issue. I have a question though. What happens when these rooftop systems start failing? Because I think a lot of these contractors are fly-by-night, and you're not going to see a lot of them in 5 years. The reason is because these solar cells that they're using are not built in the USA typically, and they actually have a limited lifetime with the amount of deployment radiation they see here. And so I'm curious because there's a lot of different grades and qualities of solar cells themselves. And so I'm curious is what happens when it's become unsightly with these rooftop installations? I'm just very curious.
Right.
I mean, do we have another means to, and their efficiency goes down over time as well.
All right. Generally, that's going to be a duty and a requirement of the property owner to deal with any such eventualities. If something becomes a health and safety problem, then we have powers under the nuisance laws to deal with that.
Okay.
You are correct. In my experience, I've seen a lot of these basically become sieves for when the rains come, and you know, you flood your attic or things happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it is not a foolproof technology, but unless it was something health and safety related, we don't have much discretion.
All right, I'm going to open it up to public comment. I don't have any blue cards. Does anyone here wants to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to council for either more discussion or a motion.
Jared, is there any cost with accepting the permit applications electronically?
No, sir.
I've got a brief comment. You know, I was going to commend you. I was so excited, Jared, when I got my electronic agenda, and it was the complete copy, and I hit the button and went right to the link, and I thought it was all self-contained. I was all excited. But now I tried to make the link, and it's looking for an internet connection. So did I pull the wrong one down, or does it still require the internet connection?
It depends which one you pull down.
There's the complete one. The
That
large.
still requires an internet connection.
Yeah.
Still need a Barconi cord.
I'll give you the Wi-Fi password.
Yeah, I thought it was self-contained because last time
I
I
thought
so I can't
the
get on it.
complete
but
one had all the
I have-
documents. That's what I downloaded and have that. The complete one has all the documents there.
Right, I know, and I saw that, and I thought this was great, and I was actually going to email you over the weekend to commend you. It was so great, and I downloaded that one, and it worked great at home, but I do have Wi-Fi there, and now I notice that I can't get the documents. It says no internet connection, so it sounds like we need the internet connection anyway.
Yes. Well, you can scroll down to page what staff report. I mean, this probably begins on page 54 or whatever. So if you jump down to page 54.
Scroll down to page 47.
What I'll need to do is create an anchor. I'll take care of it. So it'll be ready for next month.
No, it's fine. So it's all here. I just have to drag down to it. I just was clicking before, now it wouldn't work. But anyway,
No,
I have enough here. I think I'll get through this meeting. So my comments here. It appears that I found something in paragraph F3. It looked like it had some real awkward language, and I quoted "of this code." And my recollection is, although I guess I can try and drag down to it, but I think there may have been a typo. Of this code, at the end of paragraph F3, I'm not sure it was supposed to be. I think it may have meant of this statute or something.
Are you looking in the ordinance or the resolution?
I think I'm looking at the ordinance. I'm not looking at anything now. I'm rolling through all these page numbers trying to find it. Because when I had it before, I just hit the button and popped right up to it. Now it won't do it. Let's see, 47, did you say?
If you're looking at F3, I think it's on 43.
It's paragraph F, and it says, not a huge deal, but it says, at the end, within the last sentence, it said, "of this code," and it didn't make sense to me.
No, I gotta get to
thought
the page.
it's a typo or something. I mean, I suppose it was something we can clean up. We can clean up after. It's not worth wasting a lot of council time on it, but it did look like a typo.
I think we can strike "of this code" and it'll work.
I'm jumping to the page. Still getting used to the electronic myself.
And paragraph F3. So, well, maybe we could just leave that as an item to check and make sure there's no typo in it.
That'd probably be the best. You can just check it.
Yeah,
We're
I
done.
just wanted
Just
to point out 'cause
approve it with
it's
the
not a
condition that if there's a typo, correct it.
I see.
All right, anything else?
Good catch. We'll take that out. Yeah.
We have a motion?
I'll move approval along with correction of any subsequent typo that you might find afterwards.
Second.
And if I may just read it into the record real quick. Introduce and approve first reading of ordinance number 2015-594 and schedule second reading and adoption at the September 22nd, 2015 council meeting, as well as adopt resolution number 2015-3339, adopting a checklist of requirements for small residential rooftop solar energy systems. Councilman Nelson.
Nelson?
Yeah, Councilman Nelson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mills.
Yes.
Councilman Barnett.
Yes.
Councilman Colacott.
Yes.
Mayor Fasenelli.
Yes.
The motion carries 5-0.
All right, we're on to the consent calendar. We're going to consider this calendar. All items of the consent calendar are considered routine, and we can enact them by one motion, but any member of the council or the staff or the public can pull an item if they wish to. At this time, is there any council members or anyone from the public who'd like to pull an item?
I do have a question on 7. Brief.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull 7.
All right. Anyone else? All right, then do I have a motion to approve 6 and 8 through,
So moved.
8, no, I'm going to pull 15.
I so move.
So 8 through 14. 7 and 8 through 14, okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Thank you. Yes.
The motion is to approve the remainder of the consent calendar. Mayor Fasenelli.
Yes.
Councilman Barnett.
Yes.
Councilman Colacott.
Yes.
Councilman Nelson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mills.
Yes.
Carries 5-0.
Okay. Number 7, Councilman Bernard.
Yeah, this is going to be easy. One of those notes had a 4% return on one of our, a 4% return on one of those notes. Probably Michelle. How do we manage that, Michelle?
It's because we bought it at a discount, and so it's just over time. That's what their guaranteed rate is because you bought it at, what was it, 90?
Yeah, I figured that was.
We bought it, at 93, and so we're going to receive the whole interest rates. And so if you did it over the time frame, it looks like we got a 4%, but you paid for it up front because you paid $100 for it. Does that make sense? You paid.
Yeah, but it showed the net. Show the yield at 4%.
No, that's the estimated annual yield to maturity. So that's taking the life of the entire investment.
That didn't factor in the discount?
No, that's when you buy it. That's how it is. When they give you your yields, they'll say, truly, I mean, it's like a 1.8, that we're actually getting. But because you bought it,
You bought a discount.
exactly, you paid more.
I just thought it was interesting. That one stood out in
Right.
contrast to all the others, because I assume some of the others were purchased that way. Okay, that's all I've got. I'll move it.
Okay.
Second.
This is just a receive and file. A voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
All right, I pulled item 15 just because we did get, I don't think this needs to be on here any longer. I think we have a donation, so this item is pulled from the consent calendar, for lack of a better word, so I don't think we need to take a vote or anything. It's just pulled. Okay? All right? All right, we're going to go to new business, item 17. Award of contract to CNC Engineering for design engineering services for improvements on Mesa, Valley, and Loma. Okay. 17. You want to look at my paper?
I thought I was the knuckle dragger.
I look at both. Yes, yeah, you can borrow my paper.
This item was included as part of the fiscal year 2015-16 capital projects budget. The City Council allocated funding for street widening on Mesa Drive. This was recommended by the Law Enforcement Advisory Committee. To achieve economies of scale and better design it, I also included the streets Valley Drive east of Loma to Saravilla and Loma from Canyon Circle to Saravilla Drive, as they are also unimproved roadways, narrow, absent curb and gutter. I issued a request for proposal for design services to approximately 10 engineering firms, 5 returned proposals on July 31st, 2015. After a careful review of all proposals, staff met with the Community Development and Public Safety Committee, and we recommend the lowest bidder, CNC Engineering, as well qualified to perform the work. Funding is provided in the city's street improvements bonds accounts, which are received from various properties along Mesa, Loma, and Valley Drive in the subject area. Any improvements to such homes over time, the city made them front improvement bonds for curb and gutter at a date in the future. Well, that date is coming. We have approximately $114,000 set aside in the street improvement bonds account, and the design contract with the options is in a not-to-exceed amount of $72,805, which staff is recommending that the City Council award the design services contract to CNC Engineering and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the professional services agreement. Concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Okay, well, let's open it up to public comment. If I don't have any cards, is there anyone who'd like to speak on this? All right, seeing none, let's bring it back for any discussion from the council.
Yes, I'd like to know about some of the other jobs that CNC Engineering has done around here. Or have they done work for us before? I don't recall.
They have done work for us before. I believe it was the 2011 speed survey. And if I may, Sean Naziri, the principal from CNC Engineering, is here, and he can better speak to that.
Okay.
Yeah, if you'd like to step up, please. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, council members, we were fortunate enough to be given a contract by the city back in 2011. We used the services of a subconsultant to do the actual traffic counts and survey the speeds. Subsequently, we used the information, we processed the data, and we prepared the report, which was presented to the city. We worked closely with Mr. Hendia to get the final report approved. That is unfortunately the only project we've done for the city of Villa Park. We're hoping to change that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. What does it mean by the notes with options?
If memory serves, there are 3 optional items which we included in our proposal. One was preparations of cross sections. When we survey the streets, the survey would consist of shooting survey points across the street from right-of-way to right-of-way. And we create a cross-section showing the existing conditions and the post-project conditions every 25 feet, also at grade breaks, bends, angle points. You don't have to have that in order to create construction documents for the contractor to build it, but it's extremely helpful. It helps you identify issues, especially at the joins, where you join the private property. In this particular project, there are going to be some impact on driveways to private residences. We want to be able to address those, identify those. Also, some catch basins along certain streets will have to be relocated. You can just remove the existing catch basin and construct it in kind a few feet over, or you can do a hydraulic study to determine exactly how much flow is getting there and find out if the new catch basin has to be modified, whether it has to be bigger or smaller. And there were also some environmental concerns. We are going to include a SWIP, which is a stormwater pollution prevention plan. I know Council Member Colacott is very familiar with that. So that, I believe, has been included in our contract. That's basically a report that's prepared directing the contractor on what type of best management practices to implement in the course of construction to minimize the impact on the waters of the United States.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
If I may, with the optional items, the contract was still lower than the second.
Okay.
And we appreciate that.
Of course. Pleasure.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second?
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mills?
Yes.
Councilman Barnett?
Yep.
Councilman Colacott?
Yes.
Mayor Fasenelli?
Yes.
Carries 5-0.
Okay, we're on to item 18, Law Enforcement Advisory Committee, to review and discuss the purpose. And I'm gonna start with you.
Yep, that's me.
All right.
I calendared this, and I did it frankly because I felt that we had been spending quite a bit of time on presentations from LEAC that were duplicative and frankly kind of unnecessary. Meetings were dragging into the night, not necessarily just because of LEAC, but I really felt that a lot of it was unnecessary, and I really didn't want to address, again, reports on crime, et cetera, which we've been through. We get to read the packets, and then we get the sheriff's report, and I know when I supported the committee, and I did it on the grounds that it was going to be a crime prevention committee. It's kind of sprawled into all things now, it seems like. But, you know, hopefully it's doing some good things. I haven't seen a lot of objective occurrences, although I did see the police car. I think that's a good move. We'll see what happens with that. And I was unaware that LEAC had anything to do with the Mesa Road issue. I thought we had discussed that. Frank, I thought we had discussed that, Jared, in prior councils. Hadn't that come up before?
We had.
Okay, because I was going to say, I think that's a good idea.
This is the Valley Drive improvement, I think they discussed. That was addressed, right?
We've discussed a number of projects, but I know LEAC really endorses the Mesa Drive widening project as well.
Yeah, I know we touched on it, but I think it's a good idea too. It's very skinny. I've seen people on it, and it's not very safe. So anyway, the thrust of my comments was, you know, I would like to see a couple things personally. If LEAC has, you know, if they want to make some reports or routine stuff, I personally would like to get it in the written report so I could take a look at it, see what it's there, and not take a lot of council time with it. If LEAC has something significant, even though it's certainly gone beyond the scope of what I contemplated initially, I wasn't thinking about traffic when I voted for it. But you know, if they have suggestions, I'm all ears and happy to listen. I just don't want to go through lengthy regurgitations of material that we've already covered that maybe really isn't going anywhere. And that's happened in the past. Today wasn't too bad. It was like 4.5 minutes, and they hit on some items, and I probably wouldn't be talking about this if that had been all that happened. So my request, as a suggestion, would be that we get a LEAC section, and if there's something to say, they put it in the report, and that if there's something we need to address, that they go ahead and bring it up, but not just go routinely again and again, so that we've created another bureaucracy to drag the meetings out. So that's my 2 cents.
I agree with you. When we had this advisory committee, when we formed it, it was for the purpose of helping us with crime. And not safety, not striping on Serrano, not Mesa Drive. That's something we discussed 2 years ago, and several, times, and we already had it on the books. We knew how much money it was. Let's focus on what we wanted that committee to do, which is just crime. And the person who should be talking about it would be either Councilman Nelson or Councilman Colacott, because you sit on that committee, just like the foundation, just like the library. We don't need a presentation every time. It has taken a lot of council time, has taken a lot of staff time. And we streamlined the foundation, streamlined the Friends of the Library, so that it didn't take all of our time. And I see these projects coming up that is not what we intended on doing. Today was good, but in the past it's been long. And some of the issues that I see here, we did have an item here on the license plate readers. Well, that's an item that we spent a couple hours on ourselves. We've had the presentation from the city of Anaheim. We've had several meetings with them. So to have Leah kind of come back with that, it's just redundant. We've already done it. We've seen it. We didn't pass it, and I think we're just kind of going over the same things over and over again and just focus. So that's my thought on this.
Basically, my concern as well, mirrored.
Well, I was the one who actually brought the Law Enforcement Advisory Committee agenda item to the council meeting back in December. And it quite clearly identified that the roles of the responsibility of this group was law enforcement, and it specifically identified both crime prevention and traffic control. Traffic control was as clearly identified as crime prevention, and that was because based on my experience during the campaign, the residents identified those are the two biggest concerns that they had with in terms of law enforcement. The purpose of a law enforcement advisory committee is that none of us city councilmen have any background in law enforcement. And so what we've done is we've put together through this establishing the Law Enforcement Advisory Committee, we've established basically a consulting team for us, a free consulting team made up of residents who are law enforcement professionals with over 180 years of professional law enforcement experience. Yes, we did look at license plate readers in the past. We've looked at other things in the past. All of us with in the previous city councils, members that discussed these things did not have any law enforcement experience. So here we are asking residents that are volunteering their time to look at these items as law enforcement professionals and give us their recommendations. Fortunately, or whatever, the recommendation was consistent with the recommendation that we had come up with, or that the previous council came up with last fall. Could have been different. I don't know. But we're asking for them to give their professional opinion based on over 180 years of experience. So I think what they're doing is right, and I think that since this is a particular concern, a high priority concern to the residents, that this is something the residents, you may not be interested in hearing about it, but I think the residents throughout the city are interested in knowing what are we doing to enhance and leverage our limited law enforcement resources to protect our residents and our neighborhoods. So are we going to be opening this up for the public comment?
This is a discussion item here. But I have to differ with you that, for lack of a better word, don't dumb us down up here. Because I'm not sure that you are aware of what we know about law enforcement, what we know about red light cameras, what we know about traffic safety. Just because I'm not a police officer and Barnett is not and Councilman Nelson is not, does not make us uneducated in those areas. Also, I appreciate the knowledge that they have. What we're saying is let's just focus on what we thought And if we didn't approve something that, if we approved a traffic committee, then maybe we need to go back and rewrite what that committee is supposed to look at. Because that's what we were to look at. We pay the sheriff to do certain items, and we don't want to review something that we reviewed 7 months ago. That's it. I mean, we had professionals advise us on these items, and we just don't want to go through that again. Nor really the residents don't want to hear the same things over again. That's our concern. Yeah. Not that we don't want their professional advice, because it's great. We just have to limit the scope here.
You know, I'm kind of got a middle-of-the-road position on that. I agree with what Mayor Fasenelli said about that. I think that's true. But I really don't have a problem with them evaluating the license plate readers. In fact, to me, that's right in the scope of what we were looking for, which was crime prevention. So that is one of the items that was out there. That's a reason I basically supported the formation of the committee in the first place. I think I voted for it. I may have even been the swing vote on it. So that's all within the crime area. And I don't have a problem with them going into it. We did go into it. We did get an expert that we listened to. But if they want to evaluate it again, that's fine with me. I just frankly don't want to take a bunch of council time to listen to a lot of background on something that really isn't going anywhere. In other words, if they come up with a suggestion and say, hey, I think we should do this, blah, 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 whatever, I'm glad to hear that in timely fashion. In fact, I'd like to have it in a written report so that I can look at it prior to the meeting. I just don't want to spend a lot of time, you know, listening to just kind of a lot of background going through crime issue or going through, you know, everything from traffic to whatever again. So that's my position. I'm just asking that we be a little more efficient on this and not tie a lot of council time up unless there's really something we need to address. That's where I'm coming from. So if the license plate reader is an issue and they think they've got a proposal on it, put it in the paper, and you need to make a presentation, make a presentation. I just don't want to go through this routine every week we listen to all this stuff when it really doesn't have any impact. There's not any decisions we're going to be making, and that's my issue.
Well, I have a comment, as I think it goes without saying that we appreciate all the people on the LEAC committee for the recommendations, of course, to help Lieutenant Gunzel and the sheriff. We really appreciate it. And also the fire department helps them as well. So I think we all recognize that. I think it's just that we wanted to just make sure that we're channeling it in the right areas. And I think you guys are doing a great job with the recommendations. And I think it belongs, I know you're coordinating everything with Lieutenant Gunzel and the Sheriff's Department. So I think we're just saying up here that we don't want to have to repeat it, but we appreciate all of the traffic that you're looking at. That'll help our city engineer with everything too, because we are a contract city for most of our services, and so we appreciate your free time as hopefully you appreciate our free time too sometimes. But we really thank you very, very much for everything you're doing. And that's my take on it. It just seems to me that the license plate reader is something that can be, because that's an interest we've gone over many, many times here. And that's what I want to comment on the most, is that there's also ways of outfitting the different patrol cars. They have some and some not. So maybe that's the first thing we do, and to see how it works. Because I think we'd like to have every car that from the Sheriff's Department that is available to come here be outfitted in that. Of course, I don't know how they manage that fleet either. So that would be a question. But we appreciate all the ideas you guys have, because we are not policemen by any stretch. So thank you.
Good. I'll make a comment. I think number one issue for most people in Villa Park is safety. And so I never get tired of hearing about how you're going to improve the safety for the people in Villa Park. I never get tired of hearing that. I don't think the residents get tired of hearing that either, about what they are doing. And I think they're doing an excellent job. This whole new program about the professional service responders, the volunteers in policing services, is something that's going to help tremendously with our Sheriff's Department, taking some of the burden off them for vacation checks, for paperwork, and a lot of different areas that's going to allow them to patrol more. I think that's really an excellent thing. And I want to hear more about what they're doing, not less about what they're doing.
Yes, I think, but I think Rick makes a good point. If there's a report, we just like to have some bullet items maybe in this, so that when we a week before the meeting, we have all these agenda items are going to be there. The public can see it. They can see it online, and they can take it away. We appreciate all the time that you all put into making a presentation, but we'd like to also include it right here in all these notes too, so we can look at it, because I'm a visual person. Of course, I'm a man anyway, but I mean, that's something that I can look at it and see it. I mean, sometimes I don't hear so well, but at any rate, but I think you understand. We'd like to see something that just have bullets in there, so we can remember it more assiduously.
I just like to see it focused with new material, and particularly if there's items where there's a suggestion or something that we need to address, and then I would like it also in writing. It's helpful so that we can look at it. I would just point out, and this I didn't have really a problem with tonight, but there have been prior ones, including all the way back to when we were arguing about the school and suing the school.
We're all guilty of that too, though.
And that went on, and then we got duplication of police reports. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So
What I like about something written is it memorializes it for everybody that's looking at it too. They tend to recall it more, and that was my point about the having something written for us, because it really sticks in your mind then, in my book, because I have to write things down. So, but anyway, that's just me. Sorry.
Okay. All right. We're going to go on to, we've adequately expressed our opinions here. Number 19, individual council member information items. Who would like to start?
I'll start. Just went from the vector control now is looking at on August 20th, which was last Thursday, was Mosquito Day in the United States of America, which was appropriate that we had a mosquito and vector control meeting. Secondly, they're looking for a new general manager now at the vector control. Michael Hurst has decided to retire after many, many years to work with the district. He'll be sorely missed. He's been a very, very good general manager for the vector control district. Another thing that they're doing is that they're reaching out like we did at the National Night Out. They had a booth there. It's helped out. And also, we didn't do it at our last concert in the park, but they found those to be very effective ways of communicating different things about vectors, like rats, raccoons, all sorts of skunks, and of course mosquitoes and flies, that they're doing it as like a 2 or 3 minute part in the concert in the park, and telling people how to apply different types of medications for combating mosquitoes. So, and telling them about the water plants, the water pots and things like that. So that was good. So we need to think about that when we have our different concerts, or even out here when we have the boat parade and the Halloween fest, etc. We can do that as well. With regards to the sanitation district, we have a new chairman. John Nielsen is the chairman, and he is from the city of Tustin, so there's very, very close there. There also is going to be opening up another part of the groundwater replenishment system. They're going to be getting more and more of that going as they go along with the expansion of that project over at the Metropolitan Water District, and which is right around the corner. The lucky thing for us is that those two are connected, and a lot of people don't probably know this, but the sanitation district donates all the water they reclaim to the water district. So other districts will actually try to charge for makeup water, but the way they do it, they have to pump it into the ground before the water district pumps it out. So that is because there's the ick factor involved with all that. And one thing that I have brought up at the sanitation district is how do we capture eventually more and more of not only the sanitary sewer, which everything's captured, but in essence, how do we capture the storm sewer water, and how do we store it in the interim, because that is water that's not as quote unquote dirty, basically, before it's run through a series of polymer filters. And that's my report.
Next.
Yes, I think all of us are aware, one of our longtime residents, Roland Wiedemeyer, passed away recently. Roland was a longtime resident of Villa Park, and for a long time he was the treasurer of the Friends of the Library. And I'd like to request the mayor that if we can adjourn our meeting tonight in his honor.
Yes.
Am I up?
Next.
Okay. Well, let's see. Probably fire is the only thing I've dealt with in the interim. It's a big time right now for OCFA. We're negotiating the primary firefighter union contract, and I suspect that's probably going to be a heated issue. You know, you're all well aware the agency has a huge deficit. I suspect the stock market's probably not going to help that much, too. And, you know, I don't know how much I can get into discussions of what, I probably can't get into the details, it's all closed session issues, but I think suffice it to say that the union has announced publicly that it intends to plot on with, at least the way I read the articles, with 1217, which is the Assembly bill to basically remove us from participation in the fire authority, despite the fact that we eliminated the alternates as a concession. You'll all recall we did that at one of the last meetings. So I perceive a frustrated board and a fairly aggressive as usual union, and not good financial times. And I think it's going to be a long, difficult, but crucial road ahead, especially if there's going to be any fiscal responsibility on behalf of the public. So I don't anticipate a lot of fun at fire over the next number of months, but that's probably about all I can say. There's going to be some big times with some significant financial and operational impacts, I think, one way or the other.
I had three things. They all relate to Villa Park Municipal Code. First one is Section 2.2.8, agendas for meeting. It says the city clerk shall prepare the agenda and all such matters according to the order of business and deliver and mail a complete copy of such agendas together with supporting materials to each councilman and each department head as soon as possible, but in no event no later than Wednesday before the meeting.
I think we took care of that earlier, right?
You and I discussed.
Okay.
We took care of that earlier?
Yeah.
How was that?
Well, that's not,
Discuss it.
you know,
It's just nothing has to be brought up here. It just has to follow through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But thanks. That's
all right. I just want to make everyone aware, and then maybe we could get to that. I know you were the primary one that wanted to have that. The other one is on this filling station property. Our condition of a variance says that a variance is good for 1 year and can be renewed for 1 year. The variance has been renewed for 1 year, but our code says that before the end of the variance, it has to have a permit and have started construction. But my understanding from the city managers, the city attorney, has determined that if they get their permit, and it's due to expire by Thursday, if they get their permit by tomorrow, then they're allowed 6 months to start construction. But the literal reading of the code says that they have to have both before the end of the variance. So I think that's something that we need to clean up. You know, if you can just get the permit at the end of the period, then why doesn't it just say you have to get the permit? It says you have to get both.
is there an issue right now?
Well, in the literal reading, in my mind, the literal reading of the code says that they're not in compliance if they just get the permit. It says you need to permit and you need to start construction before the end of the period.
We got counsel.
I don't know why this is not on the agenda or why it's coming up. We don't
I
have.
said that. Well, let me back up.
Okay.
This is just something I want to put on a future agenda.
Got
I
it.
should have.
Perfect.
I should have
That's great.
clarified that.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, we can
I
do
should have
that.
clarified that.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Not per se to the gas
It's-
station, but looking at the municipal code, because there shouldn't be shouldn't be just because of one particular property.
Right.
Because we don't have anything to discuss at this point regarding that particular.
No, we don't have to. I'm just saying I think we should put it on a future agenda for discussion to see if we need to make any changes
To the code.
To the code.
But not for this particular property.
Not for this particular property.
Okay.
No.
That's different, sure.
Yeah,
Right.
we should clarify our code. Have some discussion around that.
You guys, have you all talked about it, or?
Yeah, I mean, just so you know what the issue is, so under the California Building Code, which we've incorporated into our code as well, in essence, once you pull a permit, you have a vested right for 6 months as long as you do undertake some type of construction. You know, and our code cuts off the variance right, which is an entitlement before that 6-month time period. So there's a certain amount of inconsistency, as Councilman Nelson has pointed out.
Cool.
So it might be good to remedy that and make it consistent. I mean, there may be at some point in time a weird confluence of events where it may actually become an issue.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
it'll happen.
Right.
Yeah, just saying, it's something we should be discuss and bring into compliance. It's an item for a future agenda. I should have indicated that before my comments. It wasn't something brought up to explain here. Sure. One other item that I'd like to, from the code that I'd like to have on a future agenda for discussion is section 2.3.8, the rules of debate. Under our current code, the rule motions to reconsider. In the current meeting, to have a motion to reconsider, you have to be on the winning side to ask for a motion to reconsider. But then it goes on in our code to allow for the subsequent meeting, you can bring back an item as many times as you want. I think we should look at that to maybe to limit how many times you can bring back an item.
Is there anything in Robert's Rules of Order about that too?
Yeah, the first part is right out of Robert's Rules of Order about, you know, in a meeting, if you want to have a reconsideration, you have to be on the winning side to have the winning reconsideration. But I just think that you need to prevent from bringing items back over and over again once they're settled. And I would like to have that brought up to the next meeting for discussion on that item as well.
What if there was no change to anything? Is there a winning and losing side then?
It depends.
Well,
I'm curious. Well, you know what I'm thinking about. I'm going, well, I don't know.
So motions for reconsideration are a very procedural mechanism within Robert's Rules of Order that allow for something to be considered at the same meeting. That is inherent with what a motion for reconsideration is. Yeah. By definition, it does not extend to future meetings. And this is a common problem that, you know, a lot of city councils face, where somebody is on a losing side of an issue and then they want to bring it back at a future meeting for further discussion or a second bite at the apple. Whatever the council decides, it's a policy decision. You set your rules of procedures. As long as nobody's due process rights are impacted, it's for you all to decide how you wish to deal with that.
So we could set basically a time frame or frequency or whatever.
But I don't want to discuss it now. No. I want to.
We need to study.
I want to bring it up, and we can discuss it at the next meeting. I don't want to discuss it now. This is just an informational item. Okay.
Okay.
You can ask clarifying questions.
That's what I'm trying to do.
You know, speaking of informational, we're going to lose our fire commander here pretty soon. Chris Concepcion is leaving us. He's leaving OCFA.
You beat him up?
He's
tired?
I think he's going to escape. You know, in fact, I envy him. He's timed this perfectly. But I certainly will miss him. Chris has been a pillar of stability out there. When in times of frustration, I would frequently go to Chris and whine, and he'd listen and look.
Are you leaving our state?
So what are you going to do, Chris?
I've accepted a job as a fire chief for the city of Vacaville in Northern California.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Good. Very nice.
You even have a brewery there.
Who's the good ones?
Fair House next door.
We'll miss you.
But you have a lot of pharmaceutical plants there.
Yes.
So I have clients there. So, yeah.
Well, our loss is their gain, huh?
Yep.
Our loss is their gain.
Maybe you can come back here and lobby their comp schedule into our organization.
Anything else, Phil?
How's their unlimited liability? I mean, unfunded liability there.
It's an issue just like it is all over the state, but it's not as large as those.
Yeah.
All right. I have some items here. One item that we were talking about earlier, and it came across with the school, and as far as the parking lot that they have done some maintenance on there, and I'm going to translate that into our town center. They made a beautiful parking lot. It's great. And I show up, 5 days ago, and in the middle of the parking lot, there's no cars, is just this mound of trash that had been, kids, whatever you might be, it must be like 50 bottles, and they had textbooks and trash. And I kept watching these people drive by, and moms and kids, and nobody bothered to pick it up. So I pulled over, and I made my kids reluctantly get out, pick it up. We picked the trash up. When I go around the town center, I realize we don't own the town center, but there's no place to throw trash away. So I don't know what's happened, but there's one little trash can and 2 trash cans in front of Ralph's, but there isn't any trash cans on this area. There's not any there isn't. They're not, and the
There
kids,
used to be.
There used to be.
Ah.
And now school's starting again, and there will be trash all over the place. I don't know what we could do other than ask them if we can go to the property owners and ask them to put a facility to put trash. We put trash cans, along our trails, which we've spent, several hundreds of dollars doing. If we can ask them to do that ahead of what's coming up, that would be great. In talking about the gas station, yes, we fully expect a permit to be pulled tomorrow for a property to be built on that piece of land. I personally am happy that a building is going to be built. They've worked on it hard and long. We don't know what's going to go in it, but they are building a nice building with a drive-through. It has right now about 5,500 square feet is what we're looking at. They are looking for tenants, and it'll be about 1.5 years probably before it's completed. They probably will have some tenants before it goes in, but we're moving in the right direction to get rid of the fence down. And
So they do not have tenants currently?
as of right now, there is not any tenants, yeah.
Could I ask a question about that?
We're close. They're close, because
In-
I'm in contact with them, but not till that lease is signed is there a tenant.
In the permit, does it make a distinction between which side the drive-through is on? Is it on the street side, or does it face into here?
The drive-through faces the town center.
Oh.
Faces the town center?
The building front will be on the street side, Santiago and Santiago.
Is that the preferred way to do it? I'm curious. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the same site plan that was approved with the original conditional use permit 2 years ago. And the idea at that time was to set it back from the street to open up the visual appearance into the town center.
It was a bank at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a bank and it was a building with, it wasn't just a bank, they had other
Well,
attachments
it
to
had some retail space with it as well.
Yeah, and that's how this is too.
The drive-through is on the northeast corner of the lot.
Okay.
It's the interior corner.
Okay.
I'm just kind of curious how that would look from inside here. I forgot, so.
Just some notes on our water. Everyone knows that we did not have a penalty for the month of July and for the month of August from Serrano. They did waive that, just to give you some indication how we did for the month of July. In the month of June, when the penalties were actually assessed, there's approximately $89,000 in penalties that were assessed from Serrano. They didn't collect $89,000, but that is what everyone in total got assessed. The next month, which was July, that was reduced down to $59,000. So people did pay attention to their water. They did reduce their water, and it worked. They didn't have to pay it in July. And the numbers, I have not been given the numbers yet for where we're going into August. But the rates did go up 25%. We do see a lot of brown lawns in Villa Park in the next 2 weeks. We'll probably see a lot more because it's very hot. Just reminding our residents, just maintain it. Just maintain it so it looks good. It could be brown. It just needs to look good. So,
Is Serrano paying penalties?
Serrano's not paying Serrano is not paying penalties to the state.
Yeah.
We have reduced almost 48%. Yeah, we reduced quite a bit. Yeah, so the residents have stepped up, and certainly we know the city has stepped up because it's brown on Wanda Greenbelt. So.
When are we likely going to get to start fighting about the sign on Santiago and Santiago again?
We got about 6 months. Okay, 6 months. So start
That'd be
looking.
fun.
And that's all I have. And I think it's suitable that we adjourn this meeting in memory of Roland Weidemeyer. And he'll be missed. He was a loving man in this community. He added a lot of benefit to it. And our condolences to his wife and to his family. Okay. Thank you, and we'll see you next month.
The time.